Hi guys, welcome back for another video. I'm Jess and I'm one of the creative designers here at Sizzix. Today I am super excited to share with you some brand new Eileen Hull dies, stamps collection, and we're going to get to play with them. So these are just two of the SKUs in her collection. So these got the colour wheel and the swatch cards, and I'm going to use them to make a gorgeous scrapbook page. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going with the whole colour wheel theme, rainbows, kind of messy play vibes. That's what I'm kind of going for this scrapbook page. So I'm thinking I need a background to start off with first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a fun kind of rainbow background. I'm going to take some watercolours and I've got a little pot of water. And this will be a great one to kind of get some little ones involved because this part's a little bit messy, which is great. So I'm just going to move these out of the way as well, so keep everything nice and clean as I can. And I'm going to use my Multimedia Mat if I need to kind of catch any drips or anything like that. So I'm going to create like a rainbow across the top of my page and hopefully have it dripping down. Now, I discovered when I came to do this, it was a lot more difficult than I had anticipated. So don't worry if it takes a bit of time or it's not perfect. Just bear with, and kind of like, you want plenty of water in each little section and almost create little droplets or starts of droplets, should I say. And we're going to literally move across the spectrum. I'm going to do like a handful at a time, I think. So like reds into oranges, into yellows. I might even just do those. And as you add more water to the top and then just tilt it slightly, oh, you see them starting to drip. So I'll turn that around so you can see. So you just want to keep adding your water, kind of pushing those droplets down and kind of playing with them until you're happy with where they kind of sit, and you can add more water, obviously, to make it drip even further. And then once you're happy, lay it flat. You could always take a tissue as well and kind of dab at it a little bit to kind of stop any of the water. Oh, I'm getting paint on the table. That's not good. Let's put that underneath. I did say it was a little bit of a more messy one to start off with, but it'll all come together and look amazing, I promise. So I'll just do a couple more. I do have a finished one as well, but you can get the idea just by working across with your paintbrush and adding plenty of water and kind of getting those drips kind of going. So again, some of them are starting to go by themselves. I'm just going to add water. Don't worry if the colours kind of blend together as well. It's all part of the fun. I have one that's finished, but I think I actually like this one that I've done on camera even better. So it's funny how they always come out differently. We've got all of that kind of working there, and I have one that's finished. So you can see how you want to go all the way across in your spectrum until you get to obviously your blues and your pinks and purples and things like that. Let it dry and kind of let it completely set, basically. Don't worry if you've got some extra little marks around. Like I said, mine's not practically perfect, so that's kind of adds to the fun of it, I think. So once you've got your background, I'm going to place that one down here to dry. Might use that later. You now want to think about what you're going to place on top, and that is where those gorgeous Eileen Hull skews come in. So I'm going to bring out my stencil and stamp and those two that I showed you previously. So she does have other little bits in the collection as well, but I wanted to focus on these because I think it'll go nicely with my kind of scrapbook page theme. So we've got the colour wheel and the swatch cards. So this is a layered stencil, and then we've got a set of stamps, and they can work kind of together as well. There's also a die set which I will be using. I didn't bring in the packaging for the die set, but which is ironic, but this will give me the opportunity to cut out these shapes in circles, and you can add little extra bits as well if you want to. I've got it like all of my bits here, but not in the packaging, but hopefully you can see how they kind of correspond with both of those sets as well. So let's get started. I think we need to get some stencils and stamps going. So I'm going to take my stencil and stamp tool. I'm going to take a piece of white cardstock, and I'm thinking I might be able to get a stencil and a stamp on this one A4 sheet, so we'll see how that goes. And you can do a mixture. So with the layered stencil, there's 3 stencils in there, so you can layer these ones up, and that creates like a whole kind of segmented circle like the bottom one here, or you can have one that's something like that, and you can actually blend the different colors together and kind of do a gradient of like a lighter tone to a darker tone or whatever. So I'm going to use, let's use this one here, and I'm going to place this down the bottom so that I can stamp near the top. And actually this one is just kind of a 1 layer, whereas these ones layer up together. So it's completely up to you which ones you want to use. I'm eventually going to put multiple of them onto my scrapbook page, so you can kind of utilize all the different pieces. So I'm going to take some Distress inks and my multi-tool with my blending head, and I'm literally going to start from the top and work my way around. So with this one, what I found the best thing to do is, I'm seeing if I've got an actual scrap piece of card. Oh yeah, I have. Rather than using a decent piece of card, what I kind of like to do, you can also use maker's tape for this as well. So I literally place that along there, and then use this to kind of work. You can also do it like this if you want. So you can use tape if you want it more secure, and I like to just kind of section off if I'm a bit concerned that like one colour is going to go into the other. With some it doesn't really matter, like to be fair, with like a red into an orange I think that's absolutely fine, but this is just a little hack that I found. So I want it nice and bold and kind of opaque at the bottom, coming up to a lighter. And I'm literally just using the same colour. I'm going to blend upwards, okay? And then we come into the orange. And I might just do a thin layer of the red first. And this is how you can kind of utilise only a few colours but create even more colours. So you can just kind of blend some of the colours on top of one another, and that's a great way of just creating more colours from like your basic shades that you've got. So here I've literally got my basic shades in Distress inks, but I'm going to end up creating a whole spectrum of colours by blending. And you could even keep the other sponge on the other end, because I've got mine double-ended, and you can go back and forth with those. To create the colour that you want. So kind of keep the two that you're working with on either end and just swap them out. And then you get a slightly orange red. So when I come to do the next one, I'll take away the red sponge and I'll swap it out for a yellow, and I can blend those together as I go around. But you can see how already it's starting to create that whole spectrum. So if you keep going, and you can then use the die. I'm just going to take ones that I've done previously just to save a little bit of time. So you can use the corresponding die to cut around it. You will end up with something that looks like that. So obviously I've gone all the way around with my blending tool and my inks and blended them all together to create my full spectrum. I've also done it with, the other stencils in that set. So these are 2 of the stencils, and now we can do the stamping as well. So I'm just going to leave that to one side. And then take, where are my stamps? I popped them somewhere. Oh, they're on this side. So you've got a mixture of different stamps there. I'm actually going to potentially use both of the colour wheels and maybe the swatch card and the paintbrush as well, and then maybe one of the sentiments, but I just wanted to stamp one of these out for you so you can see. In fact, let's stamp a couple out, why not? And what I find the best thing to do with these is just to take a black ink. You want it to be waterproof because we are using like more watercolours to do this with, to fill in the colour with. But if you're using, say, an alcohol marker or something like that, or even an acrylic paint, then you don't need to worry about your stamp being waterproof. But just bear that in mind, depending whatever medium you're using to colour it in with. So we're literally just going to take that and just ink it up with black. And just place that there. Make sure that's nice and covered. Use the tool to your advantage if you've missed a spot. There we go. So we've got our stamps. Now, adding colour, you can do it with, like I say, watercolours, alcohol markers, pencil crayons, literally anything. And again, this is a great one to kind of get the little ones involved with if you've got some in your life, so they can kind of play around with colouring in these elements as well. A tip that I like to do, let me just move some of my scrap pieces to one side, pop those there, is to take a multimedia mat, and I actually like using the distress inks as watercolours, and this is a really fun thing to do. So let's take a couple of those and just swatch those out. Then I take my paintbrush and my water, and I can literally, let's pop that there, create watercolours from those inks, because these are water reactive inks, and we can use these like watercolours. I find that they're a little softer and you can kind of build the colour up nice and easy when using these. But if you have just watercolours and you prefer to use those or whatever, I just wanted to show you a nice hack. And what you can do is you can kind of mix the two together. That's why I like to swatch out maybe a couple at a time and then work along. So I tend to put down like a bit of a base colour, and then once that's kind of dried a little bit, I'll go back in and add extra depth. But it's super quick and easy to do this way. if you want to do it this way. You can literally just take the inks and blend them together and just add more ink if you want to. So I can just keep on adding by swiping more of the colour straight from the ink pad. So that is another technique that you can do when you're adding colour to these kind of stamps. Now I have already added my colour, and you can see I've then gone back in and intensified the colour on these ones. So I've got my larger one, my little smaller one, and then I've even done one of the swatch cards. So these two have the dies that can cut around them, like I showed you before, that come in the die set, so you can literally take those and use your dies on your machine to cut her out. The only one that I've had to fussy cut was the swatch card, just because that doesn't have a corresponding die, but that's fine, it's nice and easy to cut around, so don't worry about that. So I think I've got all of my elements. I've got my background, I've got my multiple colour swatches, colour wheels. We're probably going to take some of the sentiments and stamp those as well. I've also stamped a couple of the paintbrushes. You could go in and add extra colour to these if you wanted to, like with a paintbrush on the tip. I might do that at some point. And then I've also got a few of the images that I want to include as well. So now we can start piecing everything together on our background. Okay, so I've tied it up a little bit and we've got our background and all of our elements here. So now you can have the fun job of kind of positioning everything. So I roughly have an idea in my head of what I want to do. I want to raise some bits. I've even got some little split pins as well, because I thought it might be fun to make some of them spin and make it a little bit interactive as well. So if you just like roughly lay out where you kind of want things before you do any sticking, I find that's the best way to go about it. So I'm not going to make any of the images spin, but I think a couple of the colour wheels spinning would be super cute. So she says, I'm going to see how that works. You know, you have a vision and you're like, yeah, that'll work. But it's always a little bit of trial and error. So you can literally piece all of those until we're kind of happy. So I'm thinking I'm going to make these two spin and potentially this one. So to do that, I'm going to take a kind of sharp tool, seeing if I've got one on hand somewhere. There we go. And I'm going to poke those in the centre, like so. Just be careful of your fingers, please. If you've laid it out and you're happy with the kind of layout as well, what I always suggest is take a picture with your phone. Take a picture, make sure you're fully happy with it, and then kind of reference that as you're going. So I'm thinking, let's use some large split pins, and you can kind of use that. Let's just kind of poke roughly where I want it, make a little hole, and then take your sharper tool and poke that there. So we've got one here. What do people call these? I call them split pins, but I don't know whether that's the actual correct word for them. So let me know. Let me know in the comments. And then I'm going to take one down here, I think. Bear in mind where my images are going to go. I'm thinking roughly around here. And then pop that on there. I'm just going to get rid of everything else that I've got going on and fill those out afterwards. Okay, so we've got our spinning wheels, which I think are super cute. And then you can kind of position things on top, underneath, wherever you're happy with. So we can use foam tape and stuff as well. And you can just position those and play around with how you like everything to look. Okay, I am going to stick some of these down using some foam tape, I think, to raise some of them. I might add a couple more spinning ones, and then we'll come back and finish off with some stamps. Okay, I think I'm all happy with the layout. I've stuck them down with a mixture of foam tape, little square pads, and an adhesive roller as well. And obviously we have the spinning elements as well. I think it's super fun. But I just wanted to add a couple of the kind of sentiments on there. So obviously Eileen has a number of little sentiment stamps in her stamp set as well. So I thought, let's utilize those. So what I'm gonna do is, I think I really like these two like cursive ones at the top. There's tons of different sentiments on there though, like for almost every occasion, which is great. So you can play on the colours like caught red-handed and things like that, paint the town red, but we've got some kind of more generic ones as well, like just so happy for you, happy retirement, things like that. So should be something for everyone. And because I'm using our tool, I don't need to worry that my scrapbook page is 12 by 12 because it's going to fit perfectly. I don't need to worry about any sides or anything. So I can just kind of go for it. So I'm going to place that swatch card bit up there. And then this bottom one says Art Therapy in Progress. And I want to pop that one, I think, down here somewhere. I think that'll be cute. Okay. So I'm just going to do those in black. So I'm going to bring my black ink so they stand out nice. But you can add as many of these as you want to. And obviously you can put your own personal bits on there as well. I'm just going to take a little bit of blue roll and just wipe that ink that I've just got on there off so it doesn't go onto any other bit of my project. So we've got Art Therapy in Progress and our swatch card at the top. I think if I was really going to town, I'd maybe add some little sequins or gems to finish it off, but I think that's super cute as is. So we have our finished scrapbook page. So I'm just going to place this so you guys can see it. How super adorable is that? I mean, come on, who doesn't love a rainbow? This is so fun. Obviously, you can change up your images or any of the writing or anything. You could even not do rainbows. You could just do like kind of mixtures of one tone or warm colours or cool colours, whatever you wanted to do. And you can just take certain elements from this that I've shown you, and you can make other projects as well. So obviously things like the spinning wheel or the techniques using your distressing watercolours, anything like that. But hopefully you have enjoyed making along with me today and getting to see some of Eileen's collection in action. It's been a lot of fun to play with, I must say. I love a bit of colour, so I'm all about this collection. If you grab these from the Sizzix website, then please post some of your inspiration, your makes down below across all of our socials. We love to see it. We love to share it here at Sizzix. So please, please, please showcase your projects with us. We'd love to see them. But yeah, until next time, guys, that is all from me. But stay safe and keep crafting. Thanks. Bye.